Welcome everyone to our episode 35. In today's episode, we're going to talk about courage versus comfort, how to break free from your comfort zone. And it is a very exciting topic to almost close this 2025. And today we have an honored guest, Sophie Licht. Thank you, Sophie, for being here, and thank you, Natasha, for co-host with me.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Sophie is a globe-trotting coach, speaker, intuitive healer, and artist on a mission to bring inspiration, resilience, and soulful transformation to individuals and organizations around the world. With over 15 years of international experience, her journey has taken her from the cobblestone streets of Belgium to the bustling cities of Johannesburg, Lisbon, London, Miami, Paris, and Sydney. So if you miss one, she graduated as a life and business coach from the Creative Consciousness Coaching Academy and went on to support entrepreneurs and executives through South Africa, leading Business Accelerator. As a soft skills and personal development trainer, she has worked with teams and individuals across 6 countries in 4 languages, helping them unlock their potential and thrive in times of uncertainty and change. Beyond coaching, she practices art photography, and that is a core part of how she sees and express the world. Her lens captures the beauty in imperfection, the poetry in everyday life, and the unexpected moments that reveal her shared and our shared humanity. This integration of visual storytelling and personal transformation has become a hallmark of her work. As a single mother raising a teenage son while caring for her mother with health challenges, she lives what she teaches, and her personal journey embodies resilience, presence, and the ability to find beauty in impermanence, principles that guide her life and her work. 3 years ago, she followed a calling to Portugal, sparked by a fado song that spoke to her soul. Initially, she relocated to offer her son a new chapter. Ultimately, he chose to continue his path in Sydney to be closer to his father. This unexpected turn became another profound wabi sabi moment, a reminder that life is impermanent, unpredictable, and always inviting us to adapt. Arriving in a new country where no one knew her, she found herself once again rebuilding from the ground up, and Portugal has been both a blank canvas and a living classroom where she has applied daily and deeply the same coaching tools and philosophies she shares with others. And this process of recreation, surrender, and inner growth has not only shaped her life in Portugal, but has also evolved and enriched her work, making it even more authentic, embodied, and aligned with the Wabi Sabi way.
Mhm. Beautiful. Thank you for this introduction. Really appreciate it. And very happy to be here amongst your audience. And Natasha and David, wonderful. Thank you for this honor of being here.
Oh, it is our pleasure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So tell us about your story, Sophie. I can't wait to hear. You've been all over the place, different cultures, different
Yes.
places, different languages. That definitely takes courage to do that. So how did you face that physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually as you moved countries?
Yeah, so thank you. It's such a great question, and I gotta say, I mean, it probably stems from my childhood. We were lucky enough to travel the world when we were younger. With my father worked really hard, so during the holidays we could just go all over, and this was when I actually got gifted these experiences of being able to move around the world with a little airplane. It's like wow. And then having so born in Belgium, my parents decided to give me an even greater education by giving me the chance to go to a boarding school in Switzerland, in between Geneva and Lausanne, where at the age of 16 I was with you're living amongst the world again, because there were 68 different nationalities present, which I think is amazing to experience when you're 16 years old, you know. And we rotated as well. So every few months when we moved, we were able to be with people from another country, another culture, another religion. And that kind of opened me up even more to what I truly love, which is when I feel it when I live in other countries. I get to explore people in a very different way, and myself as well. There's an openness that just there's a humility and an openness that comes across that you just have to work with, because no one knows you. So you move towards life. As
Mm-hmm.
opposed to when you are, have found when I've been in the same place for quite a long time, I get more habitual, and I like the
Mm-hmm.
exploration. So I then moved to South Africa for a few years, followed a lover to England when I was 21, and then moved back to South Africa, promising that I will never follow anybody because that doesn't work, to then fall in love with someone in Israel. And then I moved there, of course, a year later, got married, and then we moved to Belgium again, which I did not enjoy as much back then. Decided to go back to South Africa. He followed me 3 months later. We then, I had my son was born in South Africa. We then moved to Namibia for a couple of years to then come back to South Africa, where I graduated as a coach and then stayed stayed in the same place for since 2008. I think it was up until 3 years ago when I moved to Portugal. And I think that having had to go backwards to then speak about this journey is important, because I really got the ability in different parts of my life to kind of restart and
Mm.
make my marks really quickly. And my only GPS up until today, and certainly back then, was not ChatGPT, but really like my intuition. My
Mm-hmm.
intuition is and was extremely strong then. So I kind of felt immediately which apartment I needed to go into, where I would go and spend time with in terms of areas, even if I didn't really know the place. Like, I'm not very research driven, so for me it's very much like I'm a yes. In my sacred, it's either yes, I feel this, or it doesn't. And that's what drove me to to lead very successful programs even all over the world, where I went in there with the this is the place to go to and that one isn't. So bringing me closer to this move after COVID, I think that I just saw my son watching TV, and I was very static as well. And he asked to go and see friends, and I said to him, "Then you need to take a Uber." And it was a moment where it was unsafe because there was looting happening in Durban. And there and then, I
Mm-hmm.
remember 6th of August, I said, "That's it. We are going to have a different life." Like, I love South Africa with absolute passion. I keep going back, but I wanted him to also have, at the age of 15, a life where he could go and walk the streets, and I would not be worried, and he would not be dependent on me working to actually bring him places. And interestingly enough, as again, what is it? What's that saying? You make plans and God laughs, or
Yeah.
isn't it something like
Yeah.
that? So I made the plan to then go to Portugal. How did I even choose it? I saw a few pictures on Instagram and it looked really beautiful. That's it. And then I also thought, well, it's in Europe, but it has a vibe of Africa. The weather is good. It's multicultural.
Mm.
I don't want to go back to Belgium, yet it's close to everything else. Why not? And then when I did a meditation in the evening, that beautiful song from Marisa came out just like after my decision. I think it's called Kem Meder. I'll share it with you. It's so beautiful. And I kind of said, that's it, that's the sign. And then I decided there and then that that was going to be the place where I was going to go. Of course, I can share a little bit more about my journey there as well. But just wanted to see if, am I on the right track? Would you like me to share a bit more? Should we move on to yeah.
Yeah.
So base yeah.
Look, I was going to say, absolutely. Like, I love that you talk about the loops of our comfort, right? Because we get into that so comfortable, and then it makes it harder for us to adapt to change. And being South African, I love South Africa. It's like you say, you can take yourself out of South Africa, but you can never take South Africa out of you once it's kind of like been ingrained into your system. So it's absolutely beautiful that you had the courage to do that and to follow your intuition as to when it's time to go. It's like, it's interesting you say that you felt it in your solar plexus. Like for me, it's like almost kind of like very similar in a way, where the idea sits in the back of my head. I know it's coming, but then something just almost kind of like aligns, and it's like the time is now. And then everything opens up and unfolds, and kind of like everything starts to flow in that. But we have to have the courage to say yes to the uncomfortable, to the unknown, from that. And I really resonate with your story, having moved from South Africa to Scotland when I was 21, from Scotland to Canada, now back again. So Scotland for me is my new South Africa, which is which is beautiful. But it's that having that courage to not have that science and go, no, I feel it in my bones. I need to move now. And all the opportunities that open up for you as well. So how hard was it to start trusting that, or have you always trusted that gut instinct that you felt?
What a great question. I'm really glad that you are also connecting to everything that I shared, and really again to our audience here, like being able to trust your intuition is probably the biggest gift that you can give yourself, because we really do have the answers. When I didn't listen to those when I don't listen, actually don't make it even past but present, then I'm not steered in the correct way. And when I do, it just feels right. So when I felt that this was the right place, I remember my son saying, but Pam, you've never been there. Like, you don't know anybody. And your whole career is here. And where are we going to live? And what are we going to do? And I said, I don't know. I just know that this is the right next step, which it felt like he was the adult and I was the child, because he was saying to me, that makes no sense. You don't really know everything else. And how can we? And obviously it's not about being irresponsible, but it's about being so responsible that your soul knows. So how can you not listen? And afterwards, just like you said, little tiny nudges kept coming up, meaning, okay, so I started to pack everything, and I saw this big flip chart where I did write back then in 2020, when I moved in 2021 or 22, I will either be moving to Israel or Portugal. And I look at it, I said, wow. So this is what I wrote on a flip chart back in 2013. Forgot about that. Then as I'm busy making order and throwing away stuff, I actually found my yearbook, or a kind of directory from my boarding school in Switzerland. And I look at it, and again, a little voice, go and look for the representative of the school in Switzerland, like the one he was in that school, Rosé, and the representative of that school in Portugal. So I then just flip through, find his name. I don't know the guy at all. And I sent him an email. Hi, my name is Sophie. Would love to ask you a couple of questions. I'm about to embark on incredible, crazy journey. I'm coming to Portugal, never been. Would you mind answering a couple of questions? And I got an answer 3 days later. Of course, please do. I mean, and I also don't like to ask anything. In truth, I like to do everything myself, but I wanted some kind of, help, at least from somebody that lives in the place I was going to go to. And we had a couple of very cool exchanges. And you know what? Thanks to that, thanks to that little book that I was going to throw, that this little voice that told me, look up Le Rosé School. I just got to spend the first 8 months in his house. I rented a room. It was in Alfama, and that is where I started for the first 8 months. I had no idea. It just came about. I didn't have this in the back of my mind. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. So courage is also built as we're getting closer. And as you said, as we're getting closer, the road is becoming clearer. And trust me, I've had a lot of pushback because I was well known in my career in South Africa. I didn't really have work over there. I was going to continue to work remotely, earning my South African rands, living in Europe, which is €1 is 22 rand. So I didn't make myself comfortable at all. At the back of it all, and why I'm doing these things, is because I take my coaching being very seriously as well. How can I continuously help and support people if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, which is surpassing myself as well, so that I can speak from a place of being it, having learned it, but also living it and being able to transfer that courage onto someone else that is needing help. So I very often put myself in situations where I said, okay, comfort zone, alarm bell, time to go and time to do something quite meaningful and continue to help the world. And that's really what also spurred. It's my son that I wanted him to have a good life, and my coach being that saying, Sophie, you can't stay in your cushy environment and then coach people through big life changes.
David, you're muted.
Thank you.
There you go.
I love that way of assembling the pieces of how you take these decisions. And I think that this is a process that many people don't understand when they are in these places of discomfort and they push against change. And that's why they stay in the same comfort zone. So what is the advice that you give people so that they can recognize when they are falling behind, or let's say getting stuck in a way that they don't want to be, and they start sabotaging themselves and their own careers and their own spirit, as you mentioned also? And what are the hints that they can take, or what is the process that they can develop?
Wow, what a great question, David. And it's also very layered. And there are multitude of kind of internal tools that I have learned and kind of worked with to make sure that I don't sabotage myself and get to really move in this direction that I can then give as advice. But the first thing is to really gain clarity. So life will, when there is a need to change something, I have found that life has then made it quite uncomfortable where the volume is going up, because if I have decided to move and I'm not doing anything about it, I'm going to start feeling it because I'm in between. Mm-hmm. So allowing ourselves also to be clear on moving beyond that comfort zone towards what our life mission is, and it doesn't have to be forever. It can be for the next few years. We always have those internal nudges like enough is enough, I need to do something. It can be change of career, it can be a divorce, it can be getting married, it can be wanting to fall pregnant, it can be choosing to do art. It's whatever it is where you are asking to show up and really give yourself a chance to actually hear what it is that you are really truly wanting. When the pain of the comfort zone is higher than the pleasure of staying in there, then I feel we start moving. So my comfort level was at a 5 or 6 out of 10 for many years. And so I never changed. But then after COVID, when I saw that I was putting a lot of weight on, and so was my son, and he was bored at home, and I felt so static, I said, okay, this is moving now to a 7, 8, 9 out of 10. Now enough is enough. I have to do something about it. So I had the internal drive, number one. I then took it seriously. And I listened, and then I allowed myself and gave myself space to actually hear out what I truly wanted. Another very important point, we often ask how before why. It's another very important question, is to keep staying in the why, and like the why linked to our purpose or vision or objective. Because if we bring the how far too quickly, this is just the ego or our brain saying no, 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 danger. Because the how. I mean, if I did not know the how, but now 3 years later, it makes perfect sense. And I'm not saying that I have the most. No, I actually know it's true. I have a really pretty good life here. But back then, I had no idea. So my why just became a lot greater. So we need to know when to bring in the how, right? So it's bringing the clarity, moving beyond this zone of comfort. We understand that we are wired for pleasure and not for pain, and going into a place that is foreign, in my case, was more painful than it was pleasurable, until it wasn't, because the pain of staying was greater. And then, as I mentioned, the why versus how, and then getting people and buddies that and cheerleaders next to you that say, Sophie, I believe in you, or whoever you are out there, to just don't listen to people that are scared themselves, because they might not give you the right advice for you.
Yeah, I love that, because yes, we often make that mistake when we are rookies, let's say, in this process of change, to tell everybody that we are doing something, and that's not the best idea, because there you will find a lot of people that will discourage you and will start asking, how are you going to do it? And the how, as you mentioned, the how is not something that we can disguise quickly, and it's not something, sometimes it's not something that even depends on us, let's say. It's something that will be unfolded through the process of being courageous, and of taking this leap on faith,
100%.
and just do the things, no?
Exactly, and that's where trust comes in. Once you've done, like, you've listened to yourself, you've found you're moving towards the scary, hairy goal that you're moving towards. You moved away, you move into the why, and less the how. And then there's a big element here, is trust you, trust the universe, trust God, trust whatever helps you, trust yourself, and trust your soul. Because if your soul is asking you something, how can we just ignore that?
Actually, I would beg to say that ignoring that actually starts to create illness. It actually creates this type of internal conflict within us, where stress, anxiety, all of that start to build within us, because a lot of the times we aren't really following our own blueprint, right? I believe that every soul carries kind of like choice points in our lives, and we have this beautiful blueprint embedded within us. And these are, when we step into these kind of like higher timelines, we have to have the courage. Courage actually unlocks the key to that. So I constantly put myself in positions that make me nervous. I swore to myself that I was going to push my boundaries every year, because the less you push, I find that the smaller your world becomes, the less you can push. So I think that once we adapt to, and this is advice or suggestion from the Akashic Records that comes often, is get used to being uncomfortable. because you're in the space of growth and expansion.
Yes.
Right? Because if you're not growing, you're getting smaller every time.
Of course, yes. And if we
Yeah.
don't grow, we die, right? Just like in
Absolutely.
nature, we gotta
Yeah.
adapt. Otherwise, we shrink.
Yeah. And when your energy rises, courage starts to feel more like a frequency because we feel it. And it's like you guys were saying, the how starts to unfold. And that's that flow that we come into. It's like one thing, like, an apartment pops up that's in alignment, or, whatever it is along the road, we start to meet those people that give us the how, which is incredible.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, it's exactly like that, and it's surprising, right? When the how is not, and I think it was Dr. De Martini that actually taught me that, because I went to one of his classes, to one of his courses in Johannesburg, and he said when the why is big enough, the how takes care by itself. And that's that. And I think I did a lot of Tony Robbins class courses as well. I did his UPW, and break the power within, I think it was unleash the power within in Singapore. And just being able to break my own fear to firewalk. I think this was also quite a big one in my journey. And maybe a lot of people have done this firewalk, but when you're with 15,000 people and is your turn, and you just have to go for it, and you sign an indemnity form. I know we're talking about something completely different there, but I just felt I needed to do this. And I remember that I had to envision something that I was afraid about, and then I could just move through it. And I just remembered I'm not going to stop myself. I'm just not going to, the ego mind is not going to stop me from living this life. It's just no. And then I remember just walking and doing this firewalk. And of course, because it was emotional, I will never forget that as well. And so that also comes up again when I want to do something, and I'm like, should I not, should I not? And then of course I do. I remember the firewalk. So these little things can also help. They lodged in your body, and it helps you move.
We just did a firewalk, Sophie, like 2 weekends ago, and it's so
Did
true.
you?
I was so worried, especially when they make you sign that
Right?
form. You're like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, and I'm accident prone. So I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I was like, okay, how am I going to approach this? Right. And I was
Well
like, do
done.
I become one with the fire? Do I just ignore the fire? Do I just push through it? Do I make it that there is no fire? How do I do that? And then when you walk past it, you're like, oh, that was okay. And I was like, isn't that interesting in life that we just, sometimes the things we want to achieve, they seem so big, and then you do it and it's like, oh, that was great. Like, that wasn't as big as I had, like you said, that emotion of making it like absolutely massive. It's
Well done. And that's the way that you're describing it. It's
but it's
exactly like
also
that.
I had positive peer pressure. It's like I had the people around me going, no, we can do this. I'm doing this, so you're not staying behind, And I think that's
Exactly.
important as well, is surrounding yourself with the right company
Yes.
that will help you
That's
to
it.
have the courage to step out of your comfort zone as well.
Exactly. And not those that are standing or sitting in the arena just watching, like Brene Brown often says,
Mm-hmm.
and then pointing the finger and say, well, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
No, those are not, no. You need to be in the arena playing live. Then you get to say what you need to say also,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're doing this.
Absolutely.
Not as a spectator. That's another thing. So we have to learn to know who to listen to, as you
Mm-hmm.
just mentioned. Very, very important. But because I did the firewalk, then I also wanted to try the ice bath. So
Mm-hmm.
when I went to Holland a couple of years ago, I was with a trainer of Wim Hof, not himself, but
Yeah.
a trainer. It was -1 outside. We were almost practically naked doing this kind of horse move. And then we went into this ice bath, which was horrendous. Even more, it was more. This was painful, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
once you in it, and we had to stay in there for 2 minutes. Then again, the pain passes through, and then you are able to do this. But it's always this moment just before that we need to because this is the breakthrough. And also, we are talking here about big moves. But for someone that might be listening, it could really just deciding to wake up in the morning, because that's so hard. And so that is as big as my move to Portugal. I never want to discount, because we always, like in South Africa, I want to go see the big five. It's not the big five. It can also be the little flower on the side of the road. Everything is significant when you take into consideration where you are at and where you're needing to move.
Absolutely.
And what is the role of curiosity in this equation of courage? Because I'm listening that many times in your life you have had that curiosity to also do the things. Otherwise, maybe nothing good have happened, no?
Interesting. Also, again, curiosity is linked for me, I guess, to the curiosity of the world that I live in. So I'm love exploration, and exploration is curiosity, which makes me want, and it's driven by something else even more stronger for me, which is connection. So I love connecting. I love connecting with people from all over the world. I love connecting with myself. I love connecting with environments that I've never been into, and then challenge myself to be able in a short space of time to create the networks and the people around me. And I did this. I had the most incredible birthday party with 57 people, and this is after having only been here for 3 years. And it's not because of numbers, because I just collected in. It's like truly, genuinely circles and pockets of people that are very meaningful for me that were there. And then I looked at that and I said, wow, this was just last month. And I was able to celebrate in a very meaningful way with people that felt like home. This, in a way, was brought through the want for something different, the curiosity, the exploration of myself and the world, and then the challenge and the trust, actually. Maybe even more than anything, more so than curiosity. I'm kind of saying to life, I trust you. So if life is about growth, where to from here? And then the curiosity comes in almost as a natural on a daily basis, to speak to people in the street, to try food that I've never tried before, to go onto a road that I've never taken so I can take pictures. And that's what then leads the pictures that I take, and then the wabi-sabi that connects to everything, which is the beauty of imperfection, of impermanence, of incompletion, because that's what we meet. We meet intense beauty, and it's also super sad. I remember going to the Sintra Castle on a when I just arrived on a summer day, and I knew nobody, so I couldn't even. I had to ask a stranger to take a picture of me, so I didn't even ask. But then I cried, which was beautiful as well. Why did I cry? For no other reason that nobody knows me in this place, and this is just so beautiful. It was perfectly imperfect. So curiosity comes in everywhere. A sense of humor from life comes in everywhere. The sense of trust again comes in everywhere. I promise you, like, if you show up to life, life shows up. It's a co-creation, and that's what I keep on seeing. And that is healthy, because you can sleep at night and you feel there's space, there's oxygen. And when you don't get to listen to yourself, you shrink. When I was married, I divorced. I was married for 10 years. I shrank. Not because there was anything wrong with the ex-husband, but because of me, because being further away from myself brought me to shrink. And if you then shrink because you're not in the right place, then it's very difficult to be courageous in other spaces as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like, and that's emotional courage, right?
Yes.
Courage comes from that circulation and not from stagnation, right? Because we do, when we become stagnant, we become smaller. And you're right, as emotion moves, we move and life moves, which is important, right?
Exactly.
And I think that courage is alchemy in a sense because it tends to turn raw feeling into this refined strength. And the more we do it, the more we get used to being uncomfortable, the less scary it is,
Yes.
right?
Totally.
And I love that in that sense. Like, it's also when we feel moved by something larger than our personality, it's like purpose is calling us, right?
100%.
And the soul is the one that's directing us from that for that action. But it's like
Yes.
feel the fear and do it anyway. Um,
Absolutely.
I went through a stage where I was like, push my boundaries is my motto. So I had this friend of mine in Canada, and she's a dietitian. She's actually famous in Calgary because she starts a day. She doesn't drink coffee, but she starts a day on a diet Pepsi. And she's just known for that. I mean, she's extremely healthy. She's absolutely brilliant mind. But our kids were in the same school together, and we went to Montana once, and whenever we would push each other to do something uncomfortable, and we're like, push your boundaries, and she'd be like, no, you push your boundaries. And I remember sitting in Montana, and we were in this kind of like this water park. I'm afraid of heights, but we decided to go up to, well, you know, the slides that are dead drop.
Yes. It was so scary.
God, and the two of us are sitting up at the top, and I'm like, push your boundaries. Like, you go first. And she's like, no, you push your boundaries. I'm like, no, you push your boundaries. And she ended up going first. And then I was like, oh God, I can't go down the stairs. I have to go. There's only one way I can go now. It's that way, you know? So it's that fear, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I think that that is a great way of doing that because you start knowing that on the other side, there's that future you want. And if you can see it, you can create it. You just have to have the courage to say yes
And
to
you
these
need
big
to
ideas.
see it and believe it before you
Yeah.
start doing it. It's very easy to trust when everything is
Hmm.
fine. It's a
Yeah.
lot more difficult to trust when you are not in the position where you can lose a hell of a lot. And then when you trust, then that's when the gift is multifold because
Hmm.
you trusted, and many things can go wrong in a way or right when you are doing something in a zone of discomfort when you and again I'm saying this in the most responsible way, but it's yeah, I so agree with you, and this and then by the virtue of doing it, we of course we become more confident, and then we are in less fear because we know we can do it, and so it's a beautiful self-fulfilling prophecy. But the
Hmm.
other side is also true. The more we're
Yeah.
afraid, the less we do, the less we want to do, the less we know we can. So it's just about activating it in the right correct motion, really,
And that
Yeah.
becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy anyway in the negative side around that because we believe that it's not going to
Definitely.
happen. So it doesn't.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was, well, there are two things that I wanted to share because you remind me of when you were saying the words seeing and believing. I had a song and I haven't listened to that I'm gonna look at for after this because I remember that it is a song from a movie of children. It's a Space Jam movie, and it's from Michael Jordan. And in the scene of Michael Jordan when he's playing, he's, well, there is the background song is see it before you believe it. If I can
Hmm.
see it, then I can do it.
Hmm.
If I
Exactly.
if I believe it, then something like that was the song. But the words
So
were
true.
thinking, believe it, and just focus in your mind. And I used to play that song and closing my eyes every time I had a test or a competition or applying to a job, whatever it was, the thing that I was going to do. I used to play that song and close my eyes and just listen to the words and picture the things in my mind. And as you were mentioning, we are these powerful co-creators of life that when we envision something, the brain doesn't distinguish if it's real or not. You are already creating it in your mind, so it's gonna happen
That's
unless
it.
you don't pay attention to your own
Mm,
thoughts and to your own beliefs. If
Hmm.
you let that fear that it's external come to you, that's when you stop doing the things. When you listen more to the others than to yourself, no?
Exactly, exactly. And we really do know that it's a fabrication of the mind to keep us small and safe. We are again
Mhm.
designed to survive and be safe. So anything that is remotely going to be a bit, scary, we make it bigger than what it is, so we can just stay where we are. And it is about pushing through. So will we ever not be fearful? No, we always will be,
Mm.
because it is again part of our survival, but it is to move continuously towards the edge of your fear and just doing this anyway and continuously. Really, this is how this is for me the tool that I have, I guess, utilized my whole life as well, to then go and do the uncomfortable. And it does work out. It actually, when I listened, the big message is when I did not listen to my intuition, it did not work out well. And when I did, man, this was probably the biggest gift I've always received, again and again and again. And then, we say to ourselves, I should have listened. And it really
Mhm.
is. It's probably as simple as that.
And have you played the scenario of sometimes when I advise people or I also coach people, I tell them, well, what is the worst thing that can happen if
Mm.
you don't do it? And what is the worst thing that can happen if you do it? Just picture those two, and the answer will be right there. So, have you ever played that scenario?
Yes, totally. With the clients that are coaching clients, definitely, like really going into these type of open-ended questions are very, very important, because then you you can see it on the client's face. They kind of think about it and say, actually, it's true. What's the worst that can happen? And also imagining, that your future self that's 20 years older is speaking to you and giving you a message. What would that also be like? I'm glad to be 50 today. Imagine that I was like, what motivates me is to imagine that if I'm 80 and still afraid and not having done what I'm supposed to do. No, no, I don't want that. So that also gets me to move and helps clients as well. There are lots of really cool questions to be able to, and it's so important to be able to ask
Mm.
ourselves the right questions. Yes, the questions that don't lead to what's wrong with us, but rather what's right, and what can we learn, and what opens up versus what closes.
So I have a question for you. In kind of this aspect of a lot of the children, I believe, that are being born right now, especially with all these neurodiverse kind of abilities, because I think it is a gift. I think it is an ability. And I think that these children have come in because they see the world from a very different perspective, because they're here to change the world. And that's amazing from that sense, because there really are these catalysts of change. But we're also heading into a world where we are so, or at least the youth is governed by, and I think us as well, I think we're not immune to it, that whole social media and, being comfortable with doing what everybody else is doing, where a lot of these youngsters, especially youngsters, because for them, they adapt to change a lot faster. What advice would you give to, teens into really stepping into themselves and walking their path because it's their path? It doesn't matter what society is doing. What tools could you give them? What advice could you give them to live life in an expanded way? What would you say to them?
Well, again, it's a really, really cool question. Uh,
Mm.
I really always look at the person where they are at, even teenagers, and really, it's removing them from their own fears. So they have
Mm-hmm.
taken on a set of belief systems that aren't theirs, and then they made it real for them. And it's just helping them to get closer to who they are first, giving that kind of, so they can beef up a little bit, which is a process in itself. It's not a tip per se to do things. It's for them again. It's as young as possible to trust you, to take on what society, what your parents have taught you, and your mentors and grandparents, but to also make some space for the persona that you are and becoming, and let that shine as well, and live that, maybe through a sport that they love doing, or a craft that they are good at, and just kind of grow into that, and with that confidence bring it in other areas of their lives. Because this is when you are a teenager, and I remember it for my son as well, at that time we are so easily influenced by our environment, and it is just a nice mix of being able to still be sociable and part of a circle and hearing out what others say, but also go back to you and remember that you have everything inside. That's what I've taught my son all along, and I think that's what gave him the courage to also move to Sydney at the age of 15 and a half, when he was in an environment that he was bullied in Johannesburg, because he was already different. He was bullied at King David, and then he had a better time in Crawford. But typically, and I just reminded him of without arrogance, of his brilliance, of who he is, of trusting his intuition as well, of allowing himself to be fully him, because well, we can't be anybody else, and to really operate in life from inside out rather than outside in. And I think it helped him tremendously, because he also had some issues in Sydney with his family situation, which I told him it wouldn't be easy, and he managed to move through all of this by being able to again come closer to what he has learned and what was truthful for him. To the point that now he doesn't even listen to me. He's 19 and now he says, "Mom, what are you saying? I know best." So I created a little monster maybe, but probably not. Just somebody that's highly responsible. And that is because I've heard many years ago on a radio station, there was a child psychologist that said, teach your kids how to think and not what to think. And that was for me the most phenomenal thing. And that's how I became rather a coach parent, rather than just, always feeding information. It's just getting him to find it within himself. And I don't know if that's a tip, but it's certainly something that has helped my son and others that I've kind of tried to help along the way.
Thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And it's really good to highlight this part of the sport or exercise, choosing a sport or choosing an exercise to do and to practice that every day. I think that I can relate a lot, because when I started to practice, for me, it was swimming and competing, and then challenge myself with my own time, not with other people's achievements. That's when I started to feel this kind of confidence on doing things in another area, in another arena, and changing that discipline into the landscape of work or whatever it is, learning a language or learning a new skill. That's what sports leads you. And for teenagers, it's extremely important, because they are also pulled out from the social platforms, because they don't have time to watch those things and they just focus on their sport. That's what gives them also a level of authenticity for who they are, no?
And allowing themselves to really be a beginner, because in society and younger, we need to be the best, and we need to be the best at school, and everything is about perfection. And when you grow up in Europe as well, like everything what is praised is that you don't make any mistakes and you get everything right. And then it just again, there's no space to breathe in there, because we can't ever be a beginner. So we absolutely need to fail, to fall, to start again, and to try again, and move towards excellence and progress rather than perfection. And that's extremely important for teenagers as well, that put themselves a hell of a lot of pressure, because otherwise they can't get to university. And I get that, but I'm saying, instead of going for perfection, is allowing yourself to move towards excellence, progress, and a beginner's mindset, so that you can actually allow yourself to at least even taste what you do, because it's not just linked to the end result, but also the journey in getting there.
Yeah, beautiful. So let me just ask you one last question, where
Sure.
probably we can wrap up with this topic of courage. And I think, can you give the audience three big questions that they can use to ignite the power of courage?
You caught me by surprise. Okay, so question number one would be,
Yeah.
what do you truly want?
Perfect.
What is going to, what are you needing to let go of to allow yourself to move towards what it is that you truly want? And then my next one would be, how committed are you? And if you are not yet, and you haven't closed that back door, then when? When is the right time to do so? I hope this helps.
Yeah.
These are the three that I'm thinking about on the top of my head, and probably when we put the phone down, I'll say, I should have said that and that and that. But in the meantime, I think these three are really, really important. What you truly want, what can you let go of in order to move in that direction, and what needs to happen for you to get there also.
Beautiful. If you remember those questions, you can bring them back for part 2, Sophie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're going to have a part 2.
To wrap it up. Yes, absolutely.
I'm so honored and great. Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here with you and your audience. And thank you for what a great topic to actually speak about,
Yeah, and those 3 questions are applied right now for the close of the year. So, because one defines the clarity. So, what do you really want for 2026? Let's add that number.
Yes.
And what do you want to let go of in 2026? And what or when is the date that you are going to commit with yourself? How committed are you with yourself? So just
and what do you need in order to make this happen?
Yeah, what are the ingredients that you need for things to happen, or whatever you want to happen? Thank you, Sophie. I really appreciate this topic and this.
Thank you.
I think it's really on perfect time for everyone. And I will encourage people to ask more questions if they are inspired by this conversation, and also to interact with us. And where can people find you, Sophie?
So they can find me on sophielicht.com, my website, or at Sophlicht on Instagram. Sophie is Sophlicht. Yeah, those are the mediums that I use the most. Sophie Licht on Facebook as well. I remember people say, Facebook is already not, but I'm not on TikTok, so it's mainly Instagram, LinkedIn, Sophie Licht. You can find me or on all those if you know my name, Sophie Licht. Licht, but which by the way means light, so that's quite pretty cool as well. That's probably also why I'm driven to always be courageous with myself, because I got some pretty tough shoes. I gotta live that light.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge
Thank
and wisdom
you,
with us.
Yeah.
and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and everything else for everybody, and all of the good things in this festive season as well for everyone.
Yeah.
Bye bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
we will listen to each other on our next episode. See you on the next one. Bye.
See
Bye
you.
bye.